here tonight, and she wanted to support a literacy charity. So I give you Isla.
Thank you. It seems appropriate when the nights are drawing in, as they say, and the clocks went back last week, to start with a poem that talks about nostalgia, I suppose, and, I don't know, reflection. And this is a lovely poem by Eleanor Fargen, and it's called It Was Long Ago. I'll tell you something, shall I? That I remember. Something that still means a great deal to me. It was long ago. A dusty road in summer, I remember. A mountain and an old house and a tree that stood, you know, behind the house. An old woman, I remember, in a red shawl with a grey cat on her knee, humming under a tree. She seemed the oldest thing I can remember, but then perhaps I was not more than 3. It was long ago. I dragged on the dusty road, and I remember how the old woman looked over the fence at me and seemed to know how it felt to be 3, and called out, I remember, "Do you like bilberries and cream for tea?" I went under the tree, and while she hummed and the cat purred, I remember how she filled a saucer with berries and cream for me, so long ago. Such berries and such cream, I remember, I had never seen before and never see today, you know. And that is almost all I can remember. The house, the mountain, the grey cat on her knee, her red shawl and the tree, and the taste of the berries and the feel of the sun, I remember, and the smell of everything that used to be so long ago. Till the heat on the road outside again, I remember, and how the long, dusty road seemed to have me, for me, no end, you know. That is the farthest I can remember. It won't mean much to you. It does to me. Then I grew up, you see.
Listen, we know we're brilliant. Clap at the end, if that's all right, otherwise we'll be here all night. As you'll have seen already, a lot of these poems are especially about children or for children, but this one particularly is, and I'm so glad to see you 3 girls here, young girls, because this is, you'd understand this one. It's called Dear Mum, by someone called Brian Patton, very fine poet. Dear Mum, while you were out, a cup went and broke itself. A crack appeared in the blue vase your great-great-granddad brought back from China. Somehow, without me even turning on the tap, the sink mysteriously overflowed. A strange jam stain about the size of a boy's hand appeared on the kitchen wall. I don't think we will ever discover exactly how the cat managed to turn on the washing machine, especially from the inside, or how Sissy's pet rabbit went and mistook the waste disposal unit for a burrow. Also, I know the canary looks grubby, but it took ages getting it out of the vacuum cleaner. I was being good, honest. But I think the house is haunted. So, knowing you're going to have a fit, I've gone over to Gran's for a bit.
This is another kind of cautionary tale. Well, that wasn't a cautionary tale, but this is, and I'm sure you all know this one, Matilda Who Told Lies. Matilda told such dreadful lies, it made one gasp and stretch one's eyes. Her aunt, who from her earliest youth had kept a strict regard for truth, attempted to believe Matilda. The effort very nearly killed her, and would have done so had not she discovered this infirmity. For once, Towards the close of day, Matilda, growing tired of play and finding she was left alone, went tiptoe to the telephone and summoned the immediate aid of London's noble fire brigade. Within an hour, the gallant band were pouring in on every hand, from Putney, Hackney Downs and Bow, with courage high and hearts aglow, they galloped, roaring through the town, "Matilda's house is burning down!" Inspired by British cheers and loud proceeding from the frenzied crowd, they ran their ladders through a score of windows on the ballroom floor and took peculiar pains to souse the pictures up and down the house, until Aunt Matilda's aunt succeeded in showing them they were not needed, and even then she had to pay to get the men to go away. It happened that a few weeks later, her aunt went off to the theatre to see that interesting play, The Second Mrs. Tanqueray. She had refused to take her niece to hear this entertaining piece, a deprivation just and wise, to punish her for telling lies. That night, a fire did break out. You should have heard Matilda shout. You should have heard her scream and bawl and throw the window up and call to people passing in the street. The rapidly increasing heat encouraged her to obtain their confidence, but all in vain. For every time she shouted, "Fire!" they only answered, "Little liar." And therefore, when her aunt returned, Matilda and the house were burned.
That was written by Hilaire Belloc, of course, at the end of the last century, century before last, my God. 2000s now, aren't we? And the modern poet, Wendy Cope, thought this was a wonderful verse form, and she has written her own cautionary tale, as they were called. This is Kenneth, who was too fond of bubble gum and met an untimely end. They always have untimely ends in these cautionary tales. The chief defect of Kenneth Plum was chewing too much bubble gum. He chewed away with all his might, morning, evening, noon and night. Even, oh, it makes you weep, blowing bubbles in his sleep. He simply couldn't get enough. His face was covered with the stuff. As for his teeth, what a sight! It was a wonder he could bite. His loving mother and his dad both remonstrated with the lad. Ken repaid them for the trouble by blowing yet another bubble. 'Twas no joke. It isn't funny spending all your pocket money on the day's supply of gum. Sometimes Kenny felt quite glum. As he grew, so did his need. There seemed no limit to his greed. At 10, he often put away 97 packs a day. Then, at last, he went too far. Sitting in his father's car, stuffing gum without a pause, found that he had jammed his jaws. He nudged his dad and pointed to the mouthful that he couldn't chew. "Well, spit it out if you can't chew it." Ken shook his head. He couldn't do it. Before long, he began to groan. The gum was solid as a stone. Dad took him to a builder's yard. They couldn't help, it was too hard. They called a doctor, and he said, "This silly boy will soon be dead. His mouth's so full of bubble gum, no nourishment can reach his tongue." Remember, Ken, and please do not go buying too much you-know-what.
This poem is by Rudyard Kipling. I'm very familiar with it because he shared a background that I had, actually. I was a part of the tail end of the British Raj in India, and Rudyard Kipling was too, as you know. This is called The Smuggler's Song. If you wake at midnight and hear a horse's feet, don't go drawing back the blind or looking in the street. Them that ask no questions isn't told a lie. Watch the wall, my darling, while the gentlemen go by. 25 ponies trotting through the dark. Brandy for the parson, baccy for the clerk. Laces for a lady, letters for a spy. And watch the wall, my darling, while the gentlemen go by. Running round the wood lump if you chance to find little barrels roped and tarred, all full of brandy wine, don't you shout to come and look, nor use them for your play. Put the brushwood back again, and they'll be gone next day. If you see the stable door setting open wide, if you see a tired horse lying down inside, if your mother mends a coat cut about and tore, if the lining's wet and warm, don't you ask no more. If you meet King George's men, dressed in blue and red, you be careful what you say, and mindful what is said. If they call you pretty maid, and chuck you neath the chin, don't you tell where no one is, nor yet where no one's been. Knocks and footsteps round the house, whistles after dark, you've no call for running out till the house dogs bark. Trustees here, and pinchers here, and see how dumb they lie. They don't fret to follow when the gentlemen go by. If you do as you've been told, likely there's a chance you'll be give a dainty doll all the way from France, with a cap of Valenciennes, with the velvet hood, a present from the gentleman, along a being good. 25 ponies trotting through the dark, brandy for the parson, baccy for the clerk. Them that asks no questions isn't told no lie. Watch the wall, my darling, as the gentlemen go by.
This poem is called Us Two. It's by A. Milne, and it's written by Christopher Robin, who you may remember had great adventures in the 100-acre wood with his teddy bear, Pooh. When I was a little boy, I had a teddy bear which I was given when I was 2. And when I had to go to school at the age of about 12, my parents, away to school, my parents went and looked at the school and looked at all the bedrooms and saw that there were toys on the bed. And they realised that it would be okay for me, that although I was 12, I still had my Ted. And he was called Ted, but this one's called Pooh. Wherever I am, there's always Pooh. There's always Pooh and me. Whatever I do, he wants to do. Where are you going today, says Pooh. Well, that's very odd, because I was too. Let's go together, says Pooh, says he. Let's go together, says Pooh. What's twice 11? I said to Pooh. Twice what? Said Pooh to me. I think it ought to be 22. Just what I think myself, said Pooh. It wasn't an easy sum to do, but that's what it is, said Pooh, said he. That's what it is, said Pooh. Let's look for dragons, I said to Pooh. Yes, let's, said Pooh to me. We crossed the river and found a few. Yes, those are dragons all right, said Pooh. As soon as I saw their beaks, I knew that's what they were, said Pooh, said he. That's what they were, said Pooh. Let's frighten the dragons, I said to Pooh. That's right, said Pooh to me. I'm not afraid, I said to Pooh. And I held his paw, and I shouted, shoo, silly old dragons, and off they flew. I wasn't afraid, said Pooh, said he. I'm never afraid with you. So wherever I am, there's always Pooh. There's always Pooh and me. What would I do, I said to Pooh, if it wasn't for you? And Pooh said, true. It isn't much fun for one, but two can stick together, says Pooh, says he. That's how it is, said Pooh.